One of the most important witnesses is Ed Kingray, the controller who handled Flight 173's approach.
I cleared him for an approach to runway 28. I was about to hand him off to the tower controller.
He basically said he'd stay with me, that he was having some kind of unsafe gear indication, and he didn't know if one of the landing gear were down.
Negative, we'll stay with you. We've got a gear problem, we'll let you know.
Flight 173 did not want to come in to land.
United 173 Heavy, turn left heading 100. I'll just orbit you out there.
Kingray cleared Flight 173 to fly a holding pattern south of the airport over the Portland suburbs. Captain McBroom wanted time to troubleshoot the gear problem and give his flight attendants time to prepare the cabin for an emergency landing.
If they have opportunity to plan and prepare people, things such as where the exits are, the quality and success of the evacuation goes up dramatically.
A holding pattern would basically give him his own airspace there to do whatever he had to do.
I didn't hear much from him after that.
Investigators learned that after they begin circling, Kingray only speaks to Flight 173 to warn them of other nearby aircraft.
I would give him traffic and he would acknowledge it.
There's traffic out there about 9:30.
I see somebody out there with a light on.
But no indication to me what was going on inside the cockpit.
The crew of Flight 173 is given as much time as it needs in the holding pattern.
It's up to the captain to decide when it's time for them to come in and land.
Well, they continued circling for about an hour.
Investigators learn Flight 173 circled Portland for an unusually long time.
There was no indication to me the gravity of the situation.
They now wonder what happened during that hour of circling to turn a landing gear malfunction
We've got a gear problem, we'll let you know.
into catastrophic engine failure.
The engines are flaming out, we're going down. We're not going to be able to make it to the airport.
I was clearly very interested in, how a highly experienced captain could fly around for over an hour in sight of the airport in good weather and not put this airplane on the ground safely.
Investigators find the plane's right side landing gear. A rusty bolt has pulled free of the mechanism that raises and lowers the gear.
This could explain it.
The landing gear would have dropped suddenly into place.
The free fall of the gear would be very apparent to everyone on the airplane.
What was that?
You would get a very large thump or clunking sound. You'd feel the gear slam up against the lock, and so you'd get this reverberation through the airplane.
And we learned that due to corrosion, the extension mechanism had failed, and that's what caused the gear to slam down.
The discovery explains the troubling sound, heard in the cabin an hour before the crash. But it doesn't explain why the DC-8 lost engine power while circling over Portland. Investigator Dennis Grossi joins the effort to find out.
I was assigned to be the aircraft performance engineer for this accident. Basically, it's pulling together all the information that's available to determine the aircraft's performance.
If there was a malfunction, Grossi hopes the cockpit voice recorder picked up the pilots discussing it.
Okay, let's go.
The recording begins 30 minutes before the crash as the pilots circle over Portland.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking.
In the era of analog recording, the CVR uses a 30-minute-long loop of magnetic tape that keeps recording over itself throughout the flight. Most air disasters unfold in a matter of minutes, or even seconds. So having the last half hour of cockpit sounds and conversation should give investigators enough material to work with.
There's 4 channels, 1 cockpit area microphone, and then a channel for each of 3 crew members.
Because I only got this thing to shine down there.
They hear the flight engineer leave the cockpit to troubleshoot the landing gear problem.
In the early generation jets, it was very common to have mechanical indications that the landing gear was in fact down and locked.
When the landing gear is lowered, a small rod pops up on the wing, providing visual confirmation that the gear is in place.
The flight engineer would be asked by the captain to go back and check the mechanical indicators for the position of the landing gear. He'd walk down the aisle to about the center of the wing.
Excuse me, I'll look out the window here.
And he could look over, and there are tabs that actually come up and go down. And he could see if the gear was extended and locked.
It's exactly what Amy Connor described to investigators
A man with a flashlight came through the aisle.
in her post-crash interview.
How's that main gear back there?
Both appear to be down and locked.
Despite his engineer's report, Captain McBroom is still concerned. If the gear is locked, none of the lights should be flashing.
On the touchdown of that gear folds or something.
Obviously, the lights were affected, the electronics that tell the crew members whether or not the gear is down and locked.
Landing gear failure is rare in commercial aviation. When it does happen, statistics show that most passengers survive unscathed. In 2008, engine failure forced British Airways Flight 38 to make a crash landing. The impact ripped the Boeing 777's landing gear from the fuselage. The plane was a write-off, but no one was killed.
There's one check we missed. Checking the gear warning horn.
Right.
Right.
Normally, when we see these problems of a gear light not coming on, it's a light bulb or some minor piece of circuitry.
It appears that a minor electrical problem had become a major distraction for Captain McBroom.
So how do we do that?
That still doesn't explain why the plane lost power. But what investigators hear next could explain everything.
Losing an engine. It's flamed out.
Why?
Fuel.
First Officer Beebe's answer is chilling. After nearly an hour in a holding pattern, Flight 173 is simply running out of gas.
We're losing an engine.
The voice recorder from Flight 173 has revealed a disturbing situation.
It's flamed out.
What?
Less than 8 minutes before the DC-8 crashes into a Portland suburb, the captain is unaware that his plane has run low on fuel.
He was asking what was causing that, and he got a very adamant answer saying fuel.
Fuel.
As if to say, we've been trying to tell you about this all along.
Open those cross feeds there or something.
There are crossfeed valves that are opened in a specific sequence to let one tank feed one or more engines. And it's the job of the flight engineer, in the case of a DC-8, to know exactly how to do that.
Showing fumes.
Though the crew couldn't agree on exactly how much was left.
Oh, showing 1,000 or better.
I don't think it's in there.
One thing is certain. There isn't enough to keep the engines running.
Losing an engine. It's flamed out.
It takes a few things to make an engine run. One of them is fuel.
You got that cross feed open?
Captain McBroom is desperate. He needs to get more fuel to the remaining engines.
No, I haven't got it open. Which one?
Open them both. Damn it, get some fuel in there.
Each of the plane's 4 engines has its own fuel tank. Opening the crossfeeds should allow fuel to flow between the 4 main tanks.
Number 2 is empty.
but it's not working.
You're gonna lose number 3 in a minute, too.
One by one, fuel starvation shuts down all the engines, leaving the DC-8 without any power.
Okay, declare a mayday.
The engines didn't have any fuel.
We knew that the aircraft ran out of fuel. So then became the question, why? Why would a modern transport aircraft like this run out of fuel?
Investigators focus on two possibilities: mechanical failure or human error.
Was it a crew problem or was it an aircraft problem?
McBroom may be the only one who can give the answer.
I wanted to be on final with as much fuel as I could have.
You gotta keep running, Frosty.
Recovering from his injuries in an Oregon hospital, he's now well enough to tell his side of the story.
We finally sat down with Captain McBroom and asked the tough questions.
A pilot takes the responsibility for the passengers and his fellow crew members extremely seriously. And to be involved in an accident where there are fatalities is something that never leaves you. It would be with a pilot the remainder of their lives.
I recall seeing the number 1 and number 2 warning lights come on, but I knew we had fuel.
He was still convinced that somehow the fuel had either leaked out of the tanks or the fuel burn was too high or the gauges were wrong.
Showing 1,000 or better.
I don't think it's in there.
Meanwhile, in Washington, Dennis Grossi digs deeper in search of a mechanical cause. He studies Flight 173's flight plan. He uses it to calculate the amount of fuel the DC-8 should have burned.
A DC-8 burns somewhere in the neighborhood of 13,000 pounds of fuel an hour.
The question is, did this aircraft burn fuel faster than normal?
If the data shows any discrepancy, it could mean the captain was right. The engines were using too much fuel.
There must have been a problem that the engines were burning a lot more fuel than normal, or there was some anomaly in the aircraft.
His analysis finds no problem. Flight 173 took off with more than enough fuel to reach Portland and was consuming it at the standard rate.
Fuel burn is completely normal.
The conclusion was that the aircraft performance was normal, and that there was no anomalies in the amount of fuel consumed.
Showing fumes.
Investigators are left with a troubling question.
How could an experienced crew lose track of how much fuel they had on board and, in fact, run out of fuel when they were in view of the airport?
Grossi considers the possibility that the plane's fuel gauges malfunctioned. He studies the CVR transcript, focusing in on the crew's discussion of fuel levels.
Fuel gauges are not known for being all that precise. That's why it was so important for the performance study to correlate the amount of fuel that was actually on the aircraft with what was actually being indicated to the crew.
How much fuel we got, Frosty?
If the gauges weren't working properly,
5,000.
it could explain why the crew let the fuel levels fall so low.
The crew discussed how much fuel do you have. We got 5,000 pounds.
By matching the time on the transcript with the fuel burn chart, Grossi can determine if the gauges were working accurately.
You take the data and apply the time factor to it, and you can figure out how much fuel they should have had remaining.
He discovers the flight engineer
5,000.
had the correct reading.
5,000. That's exactly right.
There was nothing wrong with the gauges.
He said that they saw 5,000 pounds. That was consistent with what the fuel burn study showed.
Investigators are convinced that Flight 173's fuel system was working exactly as it should.